this is one of the many different things I do, and I'm going to use a photo. I went to the atelier, and they don't like you using photos, but I can't really go outside and see a sunset tonight, so so we'll be using the photo reference. And I do use photo references quite a bit when I'm teaching wet and wet with my students, because for that same reason, that you just can't go outside and see what you want to see if you have a night class or if you've got an overcast day and you want to be teaching this kind of thing. So I also teach some step-by-step layering techniques and so many different types of things, but I really do like the wet and wet quick stuff. So let's hope it's quick enough to fill the time, or to get done in tonight's session here. So I start out. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay. Oh, it's Arches 300 pound. So it takes a whole lot of, it takes, it'll take whatever you can dish out. Let's put it that way. And I put it on some stretcher bars that I use for oil, painting, because what you can do with this is keep it wet on the back. It keeps it wetter, and it holds it down in place. A lot of times when you're using 300 pound, you don't need to have it taped down because it's such heavy paper. But when you're doing wet and wet and you're using a lot of water, it'll start curling up, and it's just easier to handle this way. I'll probably have puddles of water going all over the place here.
One more question. You didn't pre-soak the paper?
I did not. No, I did not. If I'm using, I've already used the stretcher bars with 140 pound paper, and then I will soak that paper and wrap it around the edges and staple it. But this being it's so sturdy and flat, I don't have to do that. But I did staple it around the edges.
But you stapled it when it was wet.
No, I didn't. I haven't wet this at all yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, because I find that it doesn't have, it's got sizing in it, but the sizing goes all the way through. It's not like you got to wash off sizing, which is what a lot of people are doing when they wet it first. But no, I didn't wet it for this because it's so nice and flat.
Oh.
So anyway, I'll be moving this thing around, but I'll try to keep it as steady and in the right place so you can see it. Okay, great. So I'm going to, oops, there's a little bit of paint left in the brush here. I'm just going to put a lot of water on. And it just depends so much on what the humidity is, too, as to how the stuff dries. I have my little tester paper here in case I want to try out my colors. I always do that when I'm doing something like a portrait, but for something like this, I may not use that at all. I get kind of fast and furious here. The brush will be flying. And I was telling Deb, I hope I don't flick water onto these light bulbs and have them go pop on me. So the main thing is have fun with this. So I'm just going to put a lot on. Already got it dribbling down the side. And I think I'll put some on the back too, just to keep it moist longer. You want to check too, as you're wetting your paper, to turn it in different directions so that you can see if you're missing any spots. The top and work down, but with this one, I don't want to get that yellow. I don't want to get other colors in the yellow, so I'm going to start with the yellow. I want it to be really bright. I'll be using both of these things here to mix.
What kind of yellow are you using?
Oh dear, you would ask. I think it's it's a cadmium, but I don't think it's the. I didn't mark it, and it was a different one than it was a different brand than I normally have. So I think it's the medium, the cadmium medium, but it is pretty strong yellow, you know. So okay, so it could be the light, but I think it's the medium. I'm gonna make sure I got enough pigment in here, because being there's so much water here, you have to make your color stronger than you think you're going to need it, because you lose the like 30% as it dries. And I'm thinking that even, you know, with this being there's a lot here, I'm sorry, I'm drifting off, but with this being so wet, I'm going to lose more than 30%, I think. Okay. The next color I'm going to put in is the red. And this is cadmium red deep. This might end up being done in 10 minutes, huh? I think it's going to need a little more. I know that seems like an awful strong, but this sky is very strong. And then if it starts drying on me, I'll be using my spray. Looks like it's drying a little bit up there. I brought enough stuff that I can do a second one if I get this done. Get all that color out of there. Okay, wow, I like it. So now I'm going to use some ultramarine. I usually use 3 colors. I've got a whole bunch of them in here because now and then I get awards and it ends up being paint, and it's always colors that I don't normally use. And so I've got some extra colors and I put them out, but mainly I use the ones that I like the best, the ones that I know how they work. So let's see here. Get this purple up here. We need yeah, it's puddling here. Into a dull brownish purple. And that's kind of what I want. There's some grays in here that I really like. Need a little more blue in there. That's a little too brown.
What's the name of your colors?
The name of the colors?
The brand?
Oh, I usually use Winsor and Newton.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll use Utrecht.
Oh, okay.
I want a little more blue here. Sometimes if you do this kind of a scrubby motion, it makes it look more like clouds when you're done. I'll put a little more water right there. Oh. Oh, well. So you can just keep playing with it, modifying. There's a lot of dark right over there, and then there's a lot of dark down in here too. So just, like I say, just ask questions if you think of something. Don't think I like that. So I can just kind of push some of the other color out of the way if I decide, oh, I want a little more red here or there, or a little more yellow here or there. I can just kind of get in there and just sort of push. Push that brown out of the way a little bit, mix it in. Okay, I think we can, I got some splotches down here, but that's okay. We'll work those in too. Okay, there's some really dark here. I think I'll go for that, and then I can come back to some of this other stuff. Maybe I'll push this around a little, get some more red up in there. Okay. You are a quiet group.
If this school doesn't want you to paint from photos, do they want you to paint plein air outside, or are you supposed to make all this up?
Oh, no, you don't make it up. What we learned mostly was painting from a still life setup or from a model, a portrait from a model or from a cast. We did a lot of cast drawings, so we learned a lot of techniques that way. Yeah, and then there's, then they have people who also teach illustration, and they, in those classes you learn to make up some things too so it's not always, but the regular program is
Mostly wet on wet.
no, it isn't even watercolor. It's mostly oil, charcoal,
Right.
pencil.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was one person who taught a watercolor class, and then I just kind of took over when he didn't want to teach any longer.
When you talk about drawing from casts, when I understand, because I had a friend that went there, is that you have the cast by you, and it has to be the same size
Yeah,
as is on the canvas, right?
yeah, you set your drawing or your canvas up right next to it, and you reproduce exactly what
Right.
you see. Yes, step back, take your measurements from like
Put back
6-8
there.
feet away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool. It's a
interesting.
really good way to train your eye.
Yeah, it is, yeah. You think it doesn't train you for creativity?
I'm sorry?
Creativity?
Well, you're supposed to have that on your own.
Oh.
Ooh,
Okay.
This is more technique training,
Right, okay.
Well, I got some splashes here, so I'm going to just kind of pull it together. When you spray it again with water, it just kind of, well, maybe I'll spray it from the back. Oops, light bulbs. Watch out. Okay. Yeah, so as it's drying up in here, I was adding some more darks. Okay. It's going to look like a mess before it gets done. When you do this, you use a lot of paint.
So I take it your paint is fresh?
It's hardened, set up, but then I spray it with water first to soften it up a little.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I know some people do just just squirt it out
Right.
and use it wet. It's really dark over here too.
You're actually